The Office of National Statistics reported in September 2022 that house prices are still increasing. What? Increasing? Are we meant to be in a recession and house prices are falling? Hi everyone, my name is Simon Mishevich from Optimised Accountants and welcome to today's show, which we're going to be talking about house prices that has been reported by the Office of National Statistics in September 2022 for July. And what they have said already is that the average house price has indeed still increased beyond expectations to £292,000, which is the highest it's seen, as you can see on this graph. Is that what you expected to see given of all the issues talk about recession? We're actually technically not in recession, so is it really reflective yet? Is this just a lag measure waiting to happen, where the economy is already struggling, not in recession, and are we going to start seeing house prices dip? Tell me what you think in the comments box below. As we can see there, the big number I want to bring your attention to is the annual price change for a property in the UK was 15.5%. Now, if people are talking about a price correction, which could be 10%, maybe itching onto 15%, well, actually, that price correction is only going to wipe out this year's profit or the calendar year profit, which is amazing because if we're talking about wiping out the stock markets, wiping out housing sector, well, actually, you're just eroding 1 year. That is not a collapse, is it? Right. Now, I know that someone feels that the house price correction is going to be 30%, 40%. I had one viewer said that the house prices would go back to the 1920s and 30s. What, £500? Really? I think we just need to look at data. If you want to present your arguments, please do in the comments box below. If you have data to share with me in terms of reports that you have seen that contradict what we're reporting today, please do share it, because at the end of the day, data is data and it can be manipulated quite easily by whoever is publishing it. So I'm open-minded to get your views, and it's really important to get your views across. So please do share that with us. The monthly price change was 2%. So again, when people talked about, well, I've sold my property, and I saw one YouTuber who've already sold their property, maybe in August time, they're losing out on any growth that they might have. So this lag, we may not see this house price correction or crash or collapse, whatever you like to call it. And he has now potentially, in my view, has lost that monthly growth of 2%. So has that worked out? Would that make sense? Because actually losing 2% is better than losing 10%. What do you think? Please do share. What are you going to be doing with your properties? Are you going to be keeping them or selling them? Let's share our comments and debates on this. You can pause this video to get the source of this data and look at the country specifics. England is the big thing I want to look at, which is an annual increase of 16.4%. So that 15.5% is for the national average of the UK, but 16.4% in England. You'll be surprised to see East Midlands and other areas like that's already going even higher. Here's the report then from the Office of National Statistics. Tell me if you've read it, what you think about it in the comments box below, please, while smashing that like button for me. So this is for July 2022. It's just been released on 14th of September, so it's just relatively recent. And what they said is the average house price has increased by 15.5%, as we've seen over the year to July 2022, up from 7.8% in June 2022, which is still a significant increase. The last 6 months of 2020 saw the average house price growth accelerating. We know because of COVID. We also know because of all the stimulus money that was flooded into the marketplace, the SEIS scheme and the furlough scheme. People was using that money for making investments. The trend continued in 2021. And that was caused by the stamp duty land tax holiday period, and people were rushing to buy property. We had a major glut that month. And house prices continue to remain strong in the start of 2022. Bearing in mind, we're in July now. Well, that's a lot of period. That's 7 months of growth that we have seen in 2022. There's no slowdown just yet. ONS continued. On a seasonally adjusted basis, average house prices in the UK grew by 2% in between June and July, which we've already reported, representing the ninth consecutive monthly increase. Where's the slowdown? When will the slowdown happen? And again, we've got to remember that we are in this lag measure. So the inflation is out of control. That's coming back down again. So the cost of living will start to come back down again as we look at fuel prices. And I'll talk about that in a different video. But the big thing for me here is that cost of living is coming down slightly. There is an energy cap. So things are being managed accordingly to the situation we find ourselves in. So therefore, will people be panicking about finances as much? In fact, I'll ask you, are you panicking because of this? Petrol prices are now coming back down again. We also see the energy price cap. Are you feeling the crunch? Are you feeling a little bit more relieved? Comments box below, please. Here's another report. Again, the URL is there, so feel free to read it yourself. Pause the video and get to that. UK House Price Index Summary, July 2022. And again, this is a nice, simple graph to look at because we could see that every price in England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, they have pretty much all gone up to a huge degree. And this is from July 2018. The reason why I want to bring that graph in is because, well, the property prices have really got to come down, haven't they, to go back to those levels. People talk about a property crash, but if there is a property crash to 2018, it really isn't going to be too much of a hardship, I don't think. Now, I appreciate that people will think, well, are you crazy? I've just lost all that money. But actually, it's not real money, it's paper money. And that is what all speculation is about, isn't it, for investors? So interesting that we're still seeing these huge increases. This is the monthly change. Again, where are the blue spots where we're saying property prices are regressing? And in fact, the north of England, we're still seeing into Liverpool, Manchester, even the East Midlands, which is, funny enough, looks like it's had a bit of a slowdown this month. But those areas are still seeing a large increase. Maybe in Scotland, it's not so much. Not sure why, but there is definitely an increase, especially in the northern areas of the United Kingdom, Manchester, Liverpool, as I mentioned. The .gov website says house price growth was strongest in Southwest, where prices increased by 20%. 20%. Now, when we talk about price decrease and collapse, 20% is a significant increase in 1 year. And I've got to be honest with you, what stock has really done better than that? Individual stocks, where you've got not only have you got the capital growth of 20%, but you have the dividend equivalent income into the rental income. Tell me a stock. That would be fascinating to know, because we should publicise that, surely. So that's the strongest growth. The lowest annual growth was in London. Price increased by 9.2%. So actually London is dragging down this 15.5%, which is quite scary, with other areas in the marketplace. So if we talk about 16, 17, 18% growth in every other sector, well, actually that would take a lot to wipe those profits out. And I can't see that significance going on, to be honest. Gov website said the Bank of England's Agent Summary of Business Conditions 2022 Quarter 2 reported a modest increase in the availability of properties. Now that's interesting because we have to think about prices of main commodities is going to be governed by supply and demand. The more you have, the more supply, surely that will outstrip demand and therefore the price comes down. Does that happen with housing? Because if we're saying that there's a modest, and let's not forget, people are saying, yes, the people are going to flood the market with their house to sell. Actually, If people think they are going to get less money for their properties, they will probably try and stay put and look at other areas of their lives to cut back on rather than lose value in their home. Okay, they're not going to want to sell their property, buy another property that is still cheaper, but they're going to sell their house cheaper in order to make ends meet. Most times people will try and do other things. People are using credit cards. Admittedly, that's not a good sign, but other things like going out to restaurants, going out to cinema, theatre, that kind of thing is the first one to be cut. People aren't going to be rushing out to the marketplace to sell their properties. I did see the YouTuber who said he sold to rent a property and he knew that it was dead money. I'm not sure I would agree with that. I think it would always be better to stay on the property market and then move it out. He talks about a decrease of £50,000 on his video for his property, which would be cheaper than rental. Yes, but then you got all the inconvenience of renting someone else's property, and if that 50,000 doesn't happen, then you've lost out, and then you're going to be getting a mortgage with higher interest rates. It just doesn't make sense to sell your home right now if you're worried about all these things going on. .gov website said England saw a price increase by 16.4% in the year, which is a significant increase, as we said. Scotland saw 9.9%, which is not as much. Here's a report by Rightmove. You can see the URL. Pause the video to get that. The big things that they talked about in their report was price of property coming to the market sees the first fall this year, down 1.3% for the month. Now, obviously, they're looking at market data in August and September more than July. So the Office of National Statistics have got this delay of reporting where Rightmove and other agencies will have more up-to-date information, which is critical to understand. Now, if they're saying the first price drop, 1.3%, that's significant actually. So will the prices go beyond that to 2%, 5%, 10%? Potentially, absolutely potentially. 20, 30%, can't see it. Totally honest. Again, people will cut back on their lifestyle rather than sell their houses for 30% cheaper than what it's worth, what they deem it's worth. Big difference between what it's really worth. Sellers who want or need to move quickly at this time tend to price competitively in order to find a suitable buyer fast. So what they're saying is people want to buy it and get into their new home by December, enjoy their Christmas as a family in their new property, so they drop their prices. And funny enough, this price drop is not unnatural. It's something we see every holiday period between August and September, where people do want to make that. And that happens every year. So when people see this price drop, they say, I told you so, told you so. Well, no, that's just seasonal. That happens every year. So again, it's really important that you look at data, hardcore data facts, not to be emotional about it. Just look at the data and see that this is an ongoing trend. Buyers' inquiries to agents do not appear to have been particularly dented by most interest rates increase. And that's really surprising. As we know, interest rates are going up. They will continue to go up as far as I can see. I don't see any differences in stabilization of interest rates or coming down again. They will go up, but again, people aren't too worried about that. They want a home and they want to move quickly, suggesting that many buyers are still committed to moving, incorporating rates rises into their financial planning. Again, my viewpoint is that people will find their home the most important place of their investment, their time, their family. Everything else is negotiable. All the other commodities of demand and supply, you will see things fall in price. TVs, whatever, electronic gadgets, holidays, all of those will start to fall down in price because people say, well, hey, forget the holiday. I want to keep my home. Plain and simple. So when people say that the recession affects housing prices, I'm not always convinced it does because people will kind of make sure that their focus is on their home. Property Mark, again, a useful source of data for you to have a look at there. Do pause the video to get the URL. Okay, so Property Mark, they wrote the report and it said more and more buyers are starting to secure homes under their asking price. And again, this could be the seasonal fluctuation. So we talked about from Rightmove, where people want to move into their homes by Christmas. So there is going to be that seasonal, but will that continue through October, November, December? Will we see a glut coming onto the market at place? I don't see what people will want to sell their properties. They would rather just stay in the property, forego everything else, is my personal opinion. 36% of branches now reporting that most sales were completed below asking price. So that's quite a significant one, whereby people are saying, I want to sell my house for 300,000, and then someone saying, oh, I'll buy it from you for 295. By the way, below asking price is a bit of a misnomer because, well, 297 is below asking price of 300,000. So what degree are we talking about here? And again, people get emotional about this because they say, well, I told you so, it's going to be below the asking price. But really, if it's £1,000, or are we talking about £100,000 reduction from 300,000? So I think, again, we just need to look at some data. But my observations are house prices will come down. There is no doubt about that. In my view, it'd be interesting to hear what you think. Please put those in the comments box below. But let's see what happens in October's reports and November's reports to get a real steer of what's going on and whether we will then be in a recession. By the way, a recession effectively and officially cannot happen until December. But I know that the United States are in recession, even though the Fed have changed the way that they do their reporting. But the US are in recession, and it only means that the UK will follow by December. What will happen to house prices, we will see, but we will be reporting that to you.